Hey, welcome to another episode of the Dan Lok Show. Today, I'm super excited to have a well-respected leader, a visionary marketer, someone who joining me today. His agency, Digital Hive, is the fifth fastest growing marketing and advertising company in the US by Inc. magazine and one of Entrepreneur Magazine's top 360 businesses. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Dan, thanks so much, man. I'm super excited to be here. I appreciate the invite.
And I always want to talk a little bit about the history, like how did you get into the business? So when did you start Digital Hive?
So we started in July of 2014, and it was about 8 years. I spent 8 years in broadcast television before this.
Nice.
So I worked in an ABC and CW affiliate for a while. Then I went to an NBC, CBS, and CW affiliate. In my time in broadcast television, I believe in the marketing mix. I think all forms of advertising can work, but of course, it's all about the return on investment. You know all about that. And, what I was seeing was the trend more and more, people looking for really smart digital marketing people that could execute. And media companies and agencies are all trying to move their ship and trying to get into the digital world. But I didn't think they were doing it as quickly and as efficiently as they probably could have been. So I met my business partner. His name's Jake Tanner in I think sometime in 2011. We started the business in 2014. My wife was staying at home at the time with my son. I had a 3-month-old, my first at the time. We had just built a house a year before, and so it was a pretty scary time.
Yes.
But I left. I did the whole risk thing, and for about 12 months, Jake and I just hustled and bootstrapped our company, just the two of us in a small 200 square foot office in 2014.
Now, in the whole digital marketing space, it's very, very competitive, right? So from your TV broadcast background, what are some of the things that has helped you just from your past experience that you bring to like this new venture?
Yeah, so I think one of the key components that's helped us scale and to really outpace some of our competitors is that there's some real fundamental things that I think that have been lacking. Hive, Hyve, is obviously spelled different than beehive. I don't mind the connotation of a beehive. Everybody working towards a common goal. That's cool. But actually, Hyve is a Finnish word. My wife is from Finland, and I was trying to get some bonus points.
Nice.
Brownie points. So Hive, Hyve is actually Hyve in Finnish, which is virtue. And I think one of the things that really set us apart was we decided in the very beginning that no matter what, because as you know, digital marketing, it's a really big umbrella. When you say TV advertising, everybody gets it. They think Super Bowl commercial. Yeah. When you say billboard, everybody gets it. It's a big billboard up on the highway. You drive by it. When you say digital marketing, it can mean
it's like
huge, right?
Huge.
Big umbrella of tactics and strategies, and so because of that, a lot of our clients, either they're owners of businesses or they're marketing directors. Even people that are specifically in marketing, how can they possibly ever stay up to date with the latest algorithm change with Google? How can they stay up to date with, the Facebook algorithm updates that happen? So, for them, it's really about this stuff is confusing. And what we decided early on was if we always put our clients first, our clients' needs first, whether that means that, it's a short-term pain for us, long-term, we can build up a really good reputation of virtue and ultimately doing the right thing for people, which I think really built our reputation up and allowed the community at large to see that we're really in it for long-term partnerships.
And do you focus on certain types of industries or certain types of businesses or categories?
Yeah, great question. So we are pretty wide ranging. There's a lot of verticals we excel in. We do really well in automotive, higher education. We do really well in financial credit unions, banks, things like that. Medical. We do a lot of hospital groups and things, B2B. But there's not one specific thing. Just because unlike television, right? A TV ad, somebody that's a true B2B company, probably not going to use a television ad to get their message out.
Correct.
I feel like every business can utilize digital marketing in some capacity to reach a very targeted user online. And so in that respect, we do tend to be able to cater to most businesses out there. But at the same time, as I'm probably preaching to the choir, Dan, it's got to be a good fit on both sides. Never take on business if we feel like we're not going to do justice to getting the return on investment from our clients.
I always say you can only be effective by being selective, right? Selecting the right client is like a big part of the game. If we just take on any kind of client and knowing that that may not be the right client, it goes downhill from there, right?
Absolutely. And to that point, like that's why when we started the agency, we didn't want to be a traditional agency, right? We didn't want to do media buying. We didn't want to do some of these, more traditional, advertising tactics, because we felt like if we didn't specialize in digital, we'd fall behind really quickly. So that's why, even though I had a traditional media background, that's why we decided to double down on digital, and I think it's proven successful for us.
Awesome. And for someone, let's say they are selling a service, or maybe they're doing digital marketing, right? A lot of my fans, a lot of my audience, they run some kind of a service business, right? Yeah. So what are some of the lessons or mistakes that you've made in the beginning of the business that you could share with just some of my fans?
As you can imagine, scaling is hard, right?
Yes.
And I think that a lot of it, I'm actually helping a friend right now. He reached out just today talking about how he's trying to scale his business, and he's run into a lot of barriers. I think it starts with intention. I think whether it's marketing or a business problem, right, we always try to look at, the goal first and then work backwards. So when it was just Jake and I, and now we're up to about 13,000 square feet across 2 different offices. We have almost 50 employees now. When we were first getting started, we knew that we wanted to be a significant business. We wanted to have, a large employee head count. We wanted to grow much larger than where we were, starting in our very humble beginnings. And so, because of that, we were able to make very intentional decisions about how to grow the business. And one of those decisions, as a good example, is that our 4th hire was a director of HR. Now, nice. Most people made fun of us because that's my friends in business. They were like, you have 3 employees. Why would you need a director of HR? Right? It's probably valid to an extent, but we knew that we wanted to build a culture. We knew that we wanted to have all of our kind of foundational stuff in place because we knew where we were going. We could see our North Star, and part of that North Star was taking care of people and hiring the best talent so that we can scale. Because as you know, a service-based business, it's all about the people. It's literally what you live and die by. And so I think one of the, that's one of the tips that I give, but one of the mistakes that we've made, and it wasn't so much in the beginning. I think in the beginning, it was all about hustle. It was just about how hard
going out there, getting the clients, closing the deals, bringing the business, right? Yeah.
You got it, brother. It's just like day after day, it's hitting, it's the waves crashing, and you're just going and you're hard charging, and you're working all hours of the day and night. But ultimately, you have to start working smarter. And that's people, right? That's delegation. That's growing a leadership team. One of the I think the challenges that we face is scaling too fast, right? Because you don't want to grow too fast either. That can also be just a bad problem. And one thing that we did was we were hiring for a long time, even with our rapid growth, we were hiring almost reactively. We'd get a few clients. We would wait to hire until people would start saying, I'm starting to feel the pressure here. I need a little bit of help. Okay, no problem. We'll get on it. We'll start hiring, right? I would say this happened probably about a year ago, where we're like, we have to change this mindset, because as you start to scale, as you start to get bigger, you can't wait, because by the time people start complaining, it's too late. That's when employee churn starts to happen. That's when, your clients start to suffer because they don't have the right service. And so that's a recipe for disaster. So what we've done is we've really doubled down on trying to understand, how can we scale and hire proactively? How can we see, all right, our teams have X amount of accounts per pod. Now we need to make sure that once they get to this threshold, they're not over capacity, but they're about to be within 3 months. Let's hire somebody today so that we can train them for the next 3 months. And then by the time we're ready to shift some new accounts and bring those new people on, they're trained up, and there's no waiting. It's just kind of, they're ready to pick up accounts, and there's that transition. And I think that's part of the economies of scale. It's a lot harder to do that when you're 1 or 2 people. But as you start to scale up, I think that's a really important thing is proactive hiring. But obviously, don't go above your skis, and don't go, especially when you're bootstrapping. We don't have any money to play with, right? We haven't had any VC funding or anything like that. So we had to be really smart about our hiring practices, but understanding that, our team is everything. Our people are our number one value.
I love it, because I think I made a mistake as well before, where when there's a problem, okay, there's like a hole, right? Let's just find someone to fill this role and to get the job done, right? Versus now thinking, let's hire a person that maybe we need 3 to 6 months, right? Or they're going to be around for like hire for the future, not just for the present pressing problem. You mentioned something very, very critical, just one with the pod. I love that idea. We just integrated some of that into our company. Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, I know the concept where you have, like, it's almost like a little SWAT team, right? Right. Working with clients. Talk to us about that. How do you do that?
Yeah, so the way we structured it is, and really, I have to say that, we created this digital marketing agency. I have never worked at an agency before. I worked in the media side, right?
Yes.
And so through my, what I would say, ignorance, we did a lot of things that I feel like other agencies, they don't structure themselves as. As an example, we don't do hourly billing. We do it all as a management fee. It's all inclusive. Is that the right thing, the wrong thing? On Dan, sometimes I'm not sure, man. We're more on instinct here, and I think that sometimes it serves us well, and sometimes it's like, you don't know what you don't know. So we try to learn as much as we can. But to speak to the pods, we, early on, my business partner, Jake, is the maybe the polar opposite of myself. You know?
Nice. Sometimes that's the best partnership.
You got it, man. And it really is. We complement each other so well because, unlike a lot of co-founders, I feel like there's not the power struggle. He doesn't want to be the face of the company. He doesn't want to be doing the news interviews and doing all that stuff. He doesn't want to be going out and talking to new clients and making, fixing problems with client side.
Got it.
I certainly don't want to be in the back end, looking at code and understanding how to optimize these campaigns and all that. That's his wheelhouse, and I have mine.
So you're the visionary. He's the kind of the integrator. Got it.
Got it, man. I'm Steve. He's Woz. That's the beautiful relationship that we have, and we've developed more of a brothership, even more than a friendship, which has been really great. But what I would say is that because of that dynamic, when we started to scale the company, we recognized that the people, in other agencies, we find the account manager, the person managing the relationship with the client. A lot of times in some agencies, they'll actually be doing some of that execution work. They'll be running Facebook ads as well as talking to the client. And I can see the benefits of that. They can make real-time changes and things. But what we recognize is, similar to what we were talking about focus and kind of honing in on your best skill sets. I feel like the best account managers are not the best execution folks, and the best execution folks are not the best account managers. So the reason we created the pods was we wanted an experience for the client to feel like, hey, you got this really great account manager. So an account manager is one section of a pod, and that person, all they're responsible for is maintaining the client relationship, making sure they understand reports, making sure that we're staying on task with the client's expectations, as well as the internal project management of what's called a digital marketing producer. The digital marketing producer, their only job, they don't interface with the clients. Their only job is to execute, optimize, and repeat, and keep going, right? So it's really that execution focused thing where somebody wants to sit behind the computer, somebody wants to be optimizing, looking at those challenges, and we found that to be very successful. So we pod those people up with a set number of clients, and then they work on those clients so they know them inside and out. And then on top of that, we bring in what's called a digital marketing analyst, and that DMA or digital marketing analyst will come in, and they're the ones responsible for analytics. They're really the data-driven people. They're looking at they're pulling the reporting,
data numbers.
You got it, and that's a different skill set, even from the execution side. So that's how we've kind of potted up our crew, and then they work collaboratively with our creative team, our operations team, our management leadership teams to execute for our clients and make sure that they have the best possible experience. So that's how we kind of created those pods.
Love it. So for the account manager, how many accounts they could manage, like in terms of capacity? Yeah,
man, it's a pretty wide range. It can go. I mean, we have one account manager where she's responsible for one account because it's a large. It's a really large car dealership, 10 different rooftops, and a lot of moving parts, lots of cooks in the kitchen, decision makers, and logistics. There's other account managers that will have, 25, 28, clients that they'll be working on at any given time. And so it's a pretty wide mix. It's based on, the account manager's capacity. We have senior account managers, and they typically handle more of the larger scale clients that we have, the bigger budgets, the more work, more intensive kind of things. And then we have account managers that are somewhat newer, and we try not to over inundate them with too many clients so they can get their feet wet, understand what they need to do, the project manager side, and as they grow their skill set, start to give them more clients. So trying to find that sweet spot, I think, is a very individualistic thing, but we're also trying to do it at scale to understand, what is that right number. And I think really it's a lot, based on the capacity of that team.
And that's the implementer, the execution person, he or she will put together who needs to do, like what people we need on this pod to do this job, right? Maybe we need a Facebook person, we need a copywriter, or we need a funnel person. Is that how it works?
You got it. Yeah. So the digital marketing producers, they're mostly responsible for the creation of the campaigns, the optimization of the campaigns. They'll do a lot of the copywriting, but from like a visual standpoint, they may say, hey, one of our senior graphic designers needs to make up an image or an animated ad of some kind. They plug into a Facebook ad, and then they'll write the copy for it with, 6 or 7 different variations so we can A, B, C, D, E, F test, right?
Nice, perfect.
Yeah,
now, as you know, my specialty, my expertise is high ticket sales. I'm always interested in any business, the way that you price your services, because pricing is part of a big strategy, right? That determines your business model and everything that you do. So how do you, let's say a client comes to you and say, hey, I need some help. How do you charge them?
Yep, great question. So for us, what has allowed us to scale, because I have a lot of friends that have web-only agencies. So they'll do websites, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then the hard thing for them to scale, or video production folks, right? I have some friends that own video production agencies. That's project-based work.
Yeah, it's tough. That's very tough.
That's tough, And so for us, I would say 98% of our work is really based in, somebody needs digital marketing every month of the year, right? Their budget may fluctuate, but at the end of the day, they need to be out there because their business is open, their doors are open, so they need business. And so, most of our business comes from that monthly kind of recurring revenue. We will bill, again, we don't do hourly billing. What we do is we do a management fee. So someone will come in and our average monthly client, our minimum is $3,500 a month that we'll work with. Ad spend perspective, but we have clients that spend upwards of $250,000 a month with us in digital ad spend, and so it's a pretty wide range.
So you charge a retainer, and then do you charge ad spend? Do you do the 15%, or how does that work?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll incorporate creative into that. So we'll include all research, all creation of campaigns, the execution, the optimization, all the creative, all the copywriting, all the account management, the weekly and monthly reportings, as well as a dashboard if they'd like. So we have a pretty comprehensive, a set of deliverables for the client. So when they need if they need 20 Facebook ads, no problem. That's all included. We're not going to nickel and dime people, and it's exactly the man.
I love it. And do you sign a minimum? Like, what's the minimum? Like in terms of term? Like, is it 12 months? Is it 6 months? Like, what's the contract?
One of the, I think one of the things that we're really proud of is that all of this growth that we've had, because the first year that we were in business, I think we did just over $100,000, which is funny to me now. Not so funny then, but funny now because that's nothing, right? We did this year. We're projected to do about 13.5 million.
Nice.
And the reason that I mention that is because we have never done a contract with any of our clients ever. Reason being, we felt that digital marketing is so measurable, it's so accountable that it gives us an opportunity to hold our own feet to the fire by saying, look, at any time you could give me a call and say, hey, Jeff, this isn't living up to my expectations. We shake hands, we part as friends, and off you go. We would not have been able to grow at the rate we have if we weren't good at what we do. And so I think that actually turns into a kind of a sales tactic for us.
Yeah, it's like a sales proposition. It's nice.
You got it. Like if we sucked at what we do, because at the end of the day, any client that hires any digital marketing agency, they're taking a little bit of a leap of faith. They need to. They have no idea that you can do all the things you say you can do. We have a Facebook success story. Facebook reached out to us and did a nice success story on us about how we've been able to leverage their platforms and do this thing. So that was really cool. We're Google Premier Partners. We're one of the fastest growing Google partners that there are in the country. We have all these great certifications, but at the end of the day, I think that clients staying with us month after month, year after year, speaks very highly to our ability to get that return on investment that I'm talking about. And I think that momentum is built on itself. And so in that way, that's why we've never really had contracts with people, because we didn't want to, if you're not happy with my work, I don't want to handcuff you to me.
Yes, because the truth is, if even you lock them into a 12-month contract, and by 6 months they're not happy, like what's the point? They're gonna fight, and you're gonna fight, and all of that. It doesn't do anything, right? And they don't trust you, and I don't want you to spend money on ads. The whole thing becomes like it's like a chaos, right? So we don't want that at all.
100%, and I feel like the process of sales is trying to remove the friction, right?
Yeah.
So if you can tell someone that, hey, look at like you can at any time, if I'm not who I say I am, if the agency isn't who I say it is, at the end of the day, you can leave at any time, and that makes people feel like, oh, okay, well now I can feel like if I make this, because a lot of times it's not the business owner, it's a marketing director, a CMO that's reporting to the CEO, right?
Yeah,
or reporting to their boss. And so their decision, whatever they make, that's on them. And if they choose the wrong partner and they're stuck in 6 months or 12 months, that doesn't look very good on them. So what we try to do is say, look, we're your advocate. We want to make you look like a hero.
Yeah.
And us, it's, the data is there. We're a data-driven marketing company.
Yeah. Do you sometimes, I see this quite a bit too, where let's say the CEO, you connect with the CEO and CEO wants to bring you in and say, hey, okay, I want Digital Hive to do the marketing. And then, but suddenly you get the VP of marketing, right? Suddenly, they're a little bit threatened. Am I going to lose my job? What's happening? Do I have to lay people off? Like, how do you deal with that? Because it's a real problem, right?
Yeah, it totally is. I mean, you deal with all folks, all kinds of people when you're in the service industry, and I think that the scenario described has happened, a number of times for us. I think it really is about reassuring that person who's worried that we're on their team. It's really getting them the buy-in that look at like our true job, our true mission is to make sure that you win first.
Yes.
I think something sequentially, right? There's no way that Digital Hive can win if the client doesn't win first. They have to be the first person to win. Out of this whole partnership, if you guys are the ones that are killing it, you're getting return on your investment, you're doing well for yourself, great. Then that means that we get to win too, because I don't care about month 1 or month 2. What I care about is year 2, year 3, year 5.
Year 5, yeah.
In our relationship. And so if we're not delivering what we say, then there's no way that we can work. So I think that to your point, and that's like I said, I've had a number of times where I really connect with a CEO of a company, or I'll really connect with somebody at a higher level, and then they'll kind of pass them off, and that person that's in charge of marketing, whatever, almost feels defensive. Like, well, this wasn't my decision. You're being pushed on me. So I'm going to figure out any way to make it so that you don't look like, I'm going to try and discredit you in any way possible. And I think the way to just handle it is you got to pivot. You just have to turn that conversation into, well, yes, I'm here because I've developed a relationship, and obviously your CEO has seen some potential in our working together. But at the same time, it's your problems I'm trying to solve. So tell me about your problems. What are some of the issues that you're having? What are some of the opportunities that you see that you just haven't been able to scratch that itch because you don't have the internal resources to do it? And once you start to really uncover what their needs are, then you can start to solve their problems, and then you got the buy-in.
Yeah, and your job is to make them look like a hero, right? You're not taking away, you're adding value to what they do, making their life easier, right? That's what you're trying to do. So one thing I do want to ask, tactical-wise, what is working very well for your clients in terms of in digital? Like, what are some of the latest developments? Like, give me some top-level secrets.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how secret they are, but I will tell you that some of it, I think in digital marketing especially, there's a tendency to, I get asked all the time, like, what's the newest and greatest and coolest thing?
Yes.
I'm like, well, here's a couple things, but, ultimately, it really, Google and Facebook work pretty well. I hate to be that guy because you're just, but,
it's like ask someone, hey, well, what stock I should invest in, right? You tell them about, well, these stocks. Oh, I heard that. I need something I've never heard of before, right?
Exactly. Like, well, here's some blue chips that are doing well. Yeah. Well, I want that young startup tech company that no one knows about. It's going to blow up. Everybody wants that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I think one thing I think that is overlooked is, especially in digital marketing companies, media companies, things like that, is the optimization inside of the platforms that work well. So I mentioned Google, I mentioned Facebook, and obviously those are kind of the two big behemoths in this world. But I think that utilizing some of the tools, as an example of that, for our Facebook success story, one of the things that they focused on was the way that we've been able to utilize lookalike audiences, but optimizing for conversions. Instead of doing a lookalike audience through Facebook or Instagram based off of email lists or their current customers or people that are clicking on the ad and going to the site, what we did was we set up different conversion goals. And once those conversion goals fire, then ultimately we put them in the data stack, and then we find people that are within a 99% match of people that are actually doing the thing we want them to do on the website. And once we have that, then we can take that audience and serve ads to people that, like I said, are a 99% match. And all of a sudden, those people are converting at way higher levels because they look and act the same way that these other people that have also converted. And so it's taking that next step to be thoughtful about, and actually we helped develop that with Facebook because it happened right after the Cambridge Analytica thing where there was that big data scandal, and they pulled all of the Facebook target, like a lot of the Facebook targeting, the really good stuff, the really specific income level and
income level, yeah.
They killed that off. Now, that sucked for us because all of our clients, we had all this specific targeting. All of a sudden it went to broad-based targeting. We're like, oh, this is not doing nearly as well. So we had to be innovative. We had to come up with a solution to that. And we talked our rep through, well, what if we did it based on conversions? And we've seen some really great success with it. So I think that more than you're going out and finding like, what's the newest, how can we start advertising on TikTok, right? Like instead of that, because a lot of our clients are, they're like they're local hospital, you know what I mean? And they're not doing the bare basics. They have, anywhere close to a respectable impression share, and in Google search ads. So at the end of the day, it's like, let's focus on that. Let's optimize to get the most results from kind of the low-hanging fruit. And then, if we have enough budget to go crazy and come up with some really cool, innovative stuff on different new platforms and try new things. I had one of our, we're up in Syracuse, so our one of our brands that we work with is Syracuse University Athletics. So we're big fans of the basketball team up here, and so we do their marketing work. And they were asking about some different advertising venues like Tinder as an example, right? And if you have an advertising budget to try out different platforms, absolutely, let's go for it, right? But at the end of the day, let's make sure we have our fundamental bases covered and optimize utilizing some uncovered tools that other people may not be using that can give your business a competitive advantage.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I always think of that as like you have like a leaky bucket, right? If you are spending so much money and you've got so many holes, right? Your bucket is leaking. Let's plug those holes first, right? And then you can allocate some of the budget to try new things. But if you look at what we do, it's like people ask me all the time too, like, what's the new latest thing? Like, no, we kind of do the same thing, but we do it better. We do it more sophisticated. We do it like it's optimizing and looking at the numbers, the data, and then you go back and optimize. It's like it's not sexy. I know that, right? It's not sexy at all. It's like a martial art. Like, what do? You keep throwing the same punch 10,000 times, right?
You got it. And Dan, you said it perfectly. Like, it isn't sexy. A lot of times when I talk through this stuff, they're like, they maybe somebody's heard of us, they're excited to work with us, and I go in and I start talking about this stuff, and they're like, yeah, I mean, we do that. I'm like, you may do that, but are you doing X, Y, and Z inside of that? Are you taking it to that next level? And that's really the value, I think, that Digital Hive or any digital marketing agency or media, whoever's doing your digital marketing, that's what should be expected. Is the tactics or the newness of things. They may not be the sexiest things in the world, because there's all there's new social media being invented every few seconds, it seems like. But ultimately, it's what is sexy is results, right?
Yes.
What is sexy is that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. After we do all this optimization, after we take your Google search ad that you had on Google Ads Express or something, and we take it to that next level. We drive up your click-through rates. We drive down your cost per clicks. We drive up your cost, or we drive down your cost per acquisition, your cost per conversion. Once we do all that, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I see the value here, and it's just about translating that value into trying to get people to see the forest through the trees, I think, a lot of times.
What are some of the resources and tools that you cannot live without managing your business in terms of report, dashboard, and everything that you do? They're your command.
I'm sorry, say that again, Dan?
What are some of the resources, tools, and software that you're using to run your business yet that you cannot live without? Yeah,
good question. So we have a few different reporting. So our reporting software that we primarily use is called NinjaCat.
Okay.
That has been
NinjaCat.
NinjaCat, like
Cat,
a ninja.
okay.
Kitty cat.
Nice.
And that has been a pretty great tool for us to be able to customize the way that we want. We have gone through so many different softwares to try to get the perfect set of, project management. Right now for project management, we use a thing called Teamwork.
Okay.
But we used to use Basecamp. And a lot of times what we'll do is for our internal project management, we'll use Teamwork. For our external client-facing stuff, we'll still use Basecamp.
Okay.
I think Basecamp has a really great user experience and makes it really easy for clients to understand to-dos and what's next and all that kind of stuff. But what Basecamp really didn't have that we really needed was more of a time management, time tracking standpoint so that we can monitor what kind of time. And so Teamwork was the solution for that, and it works a little bit better for the internal side of things. Like I said, Ninja Cat. But then we right now are in the process of, we have gone through 4 or 5 CRMs up until this point, and each one of them we find a fundamental flaw in that we just can't move past. It doesn't do X, we need to do X. The people that are at the helm can't make it do X. And so ultimately I think what's gonna end up happening is we're gonna make our own CRM, and then once we do that, once we perfect it, get it developed, I think then we might even have a SaaS, side project that we have for digital agencies to be able to have a good CRM, because I feel like we have probably tested over 50. We've tried 6 or 7 of them, and they just haven't filled what we need. So that's kind of phase 2 for us, is to build out something that works for us.
What was missing from it? Like the one thing that you just wishing that you want?
Yeah, so a few various things. And now, I'll say this, and whenever I tell people this, they'll be like, well, Salesforce, right? And I'm like, yes, Salesforce. But at the end of the day, we have a lot of friends that use Salesforce, and Salesforce is what you make it. We actually have a client of ours that does Salesforce integrations and Salesforce builds for companies. So I think that Salesforce could do everything we want to, but at the end of the day, do we want to pay the licensing fees for Salesforce when we need about, maybe a quarter of what Salesforce can really do? Probably not. And so that's why we're thinking about, if we build our own, we probably can spend about the same amount of money for first-year license and one-time setup costs for Salesforce and implementation than it would be to build out our own and then have that as as an asset for the agency moving forward. But one of the things that we kind of been missing is really great, as funny as it sounds, really great projected revenue abilities in the way that we really want to hone in and look at projected revenue. There's been some really good CRMs on the sales side of things in terms of managing your pipeline and understanding where things are in the sales funnel. But once it gets into order management, once a client, we have these things that right now are in Google Doc, Google Sheet form. It's just basically like order forms, telling the DMPs and keeping everybody in the loop of what's happening, what the revenue is, all that stuff. Once you get from sales into management of the day-to-day, there aren't a lot of good CRMs that transition very well.
Oh, so there's a disconnect. Yeah, got it.
You got it, exactly. Unless you want to hodgepodge a bunch of things together, which we don't, or again, maybe use Salesforce. We haven't found that end-to-end solution that we're really looking for, and all the way to invoicing, right? We want to be able to follow it from, sales prospecting all the way to they become a client, and, we're invoicing them right out of the same system. So that's kind of the connectivity is kind of what we've been missing.
And I'm also curious in terms of, since you have the month-to-month kind of arrangement with your clients, what about managing expectations? So when they come in and say, hey, Jeff, we need help, what are the expectations? Like, okay, hey, Jeff, we want to scale, we want to grow, we want to acquire customers, and I want to spend $1, and this is the return I'm expecting. Like, how do you manage that expectation and in terms of the time frame, right?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dan, because that's one of the things I think most people have challenges with, because
that they want a client, they want to overpromise, and it's you spend $1, I'm going to make it $10 back in 30 days, or if they underpromise, then they may not get the client either, right?
I think one of the advantages of being the co-founder CEO on the business development side, really, I'm able to see all you want to talk about mistakes. We've certainly made that mistake a number of times, right? Where we're specifically in the beginning where we're like, when you're first starting out in business, you're like, we'll do anything. We will promise the world because we just want the business.
Yes.
We are in a unique position now where our business is scaled. We're growing very fast, and business development is not our pain point. Our pain point is hiring the best talent out there to service the needs of our clients. And so I have the unique perspective and I guess opportunity to the person to be like, look, thank you so much for the interest, client. And after we've had this long meeting with you, we went back and we talked to the team. We did some research on our end. We really don't think we're going to be able to live up to the expectations that you have set forth. So, there's kind of two options. Either we can try to figure out, like, we'll tell you what we think are realistic expectations. So you can tell us if that's, something that you'd be willing to try. Or, we can try to introduce you to some people that might make more sense for you, that might be able to do a better job for X, Y, and Z that maybe we can't do. And we found people absolutely appreciate that every single time. If you are transparent with people, they either end up being a client anyway, and all of a sudden you've managed their expectations so they know not to expect that crazy thing they were originally expecting. Or you walk away from the business and it goes on to something else, but that person has a really good feeling for you, right? They say, man, Digital Hive, they were upfront, transparent. That's refreshing in business. They weren't just trying to get my business by any means necessary. And so because we're in that really unique point in our business where, we're not desperate for business. We train our business development folks to say, for us, really, it's about the right fit more than it is about just looking at revenue. I mean, we've turned down, 7-figure deals because it just doesn't make sense. That what they expect for that, ad spend and what we're going to be able to accomplish because of whatever reason isn't aligning. And if it's not, I'd rather give up on today's dollar than lose tomorrow's dollar by setting a bad example and then them going and telling everybody the Digital Hive sucks. Yeah,
because
right?
if they spend 7-figure with you, then now you've got a piss off client who's not happy, who wasted a 7-figure. Now that it's a problem, right?
That is a problem. And to me, I think that the biggest issue that most business people face is that they are short-sighted. They are worried about today's dollar. They're worried about tomorrow's dollar, and they make decisions based on either desperation or they make decisions based on greed.
Yep.
Dude, I think you got to look at the long game. I think you have to think about what are the ramifications of doing X, Y, and Z today. What is that going to mean in year 2, year 3, year 4? And I think if more people thought that way, we'd have a much stronger business ecosystem.
I 100% agree. And I love the way that even in the beginning, you are not trying to be a lifestyle digital marketer where, hey, I'm just going to work from home, you and Jake, 2 people, and that's it. No, day one, we're going to build a significant company, right? We want good people. We want to grow. We want to scale to hundreds and hundreds of people, right? Different locations worldwide. Like that's your vision. And I think we have to be very clear. Not everyone is suitable for that.
That's right. Absolutely.
Right? If you're watching this, maybe you just want to be a stay-at-home, lifestyle entrepreneur. Perfect.
Awesome. Love it.
That's good. Yeah, that's good, right?
Oh, it's so great. I mean, I have a lot of friends that have marketing companies or web companies or whatever, and they're a 1-2 person company, and they are happy with where they're at. I mean, I have some marketing agencies. They're 1 or 2 people, and they would never want to have employees. They think that's a major headache, and God bless them. They probably pull more money than I do, right?
Yes.
Like at the end of the day, it is about making the right choices for your life and what you want to do. And as long as people are happy, I'm a big fan of scaling. I'm a big fan of growth and impact. Those 2 words, growth and impact, have really steered my career. They're my North Star. I'm always thinking about how can I grow personally, professionally? How can I expand my knowledge base? How can I always be moving to be better? As well as, I want to make a large impact, right? So Digital Hive makes sense that we want to scale this thing and make it. But at the end of the day, there's people that are just like, look, I just want to have a really nice lifestyle where I can work when I want to work. Not
travel the world, right? Yeah.
Travel the world, hang out with my fit, all those things. Like, God bless you, man. And by the way, yes, we're scaling a company. It's a very huge focus for me, and that's what we want to do. But I'm just the person. I'm not going to sacrifice my family to do that. I'm home. Pretty much, I'm home every night by at least 6 o'clock. I got 2 kids. I'm there with them. I ride bikes with them. I do all this stuff. I want to be a really good dad, and that's my priority. Some people, they want to go 24 hours. The advantage that I have, though, is that they go to bed around 10, and I don't sleep. I sleep about 3 to 4 hours a night. That's
wow.
And since I was
you're a machine, Jeff. You're a machine, man.
It's not even since the work thing. It's just since I was a kid, I've only needed about 3 or 4 hours of sleep.
Wow.
for me, what's great is from 10 o'clock until 3 in the morning, I'm on. Nobody's bothering me.
And quiet, right?
Quiet. I could be the most creative and I can think high level. Day to day is like meeting. My nighttime is more like, how do the vision stuff. And so it really, you have to tailor all of this stuff, your advice, all the great stuff that you're doing. There's a lot of truth in what all the smart people like you are saying. Ultimately, you just everyone has to read it and say, all right, well, how can I make this about my life, right? Well, how can I take this piece of life and apply it to what my goals are, work backwards, right?
I love it. Because I think a lot of times people, they study any great entrepreneurs on social media and they think, oh, that's it. That's like the one way to do this. It's the only way to do this. No, you have to have the self-awareness and you have to filter. Right? Learn something from me, learn something from Jeff, learn something from everybody. You gotta have to kind of try it versus, hey, you have to do it this way. You gotta work. Like I got very much against the whole hustle 24-hour mentality because first of all, I find that exhausting. And I don't think that works for everybody, right? Yeah. But for me, actually, it doesn't work for me, right? I'm much more a big believer in more leverage. Right? How can you build a team? How can you do leverage? But again, that doesn't work for everybody either, right? And I also want to ask you one question, before wrap this up, is for someone watching this, let's say they are getting started, they try to get the first few clients. It doesn't matter what services, but let's say high-end, high-ticket services. It could be digital marketing services. What do you recommend them to do? They don't have a lot of credibility. Think back, when you were getting started, they don't have a lot of track record, and they're bootstrapping. They don't have a lot of capital either. How did they get the first 2-3 clients? What did you do?
I don't think we're unique in the approach that we took specifically. It really was about building relationships. I mean, to that point, Dan, no one wants to be your first client. Nobody wants to be your first client. Everyone that, after I told people, hey, I'm leaving this TV career, I had 8 years in TV. The day that I left the station, I was offered the vice president's role of the TV station, turned that down, nice raise, insurance, all those great things. In the beginning, it was like, everybody was like, yeah, you guys are going to do great. I fully support you. You're awesome. I was okay. Well, do you want to work with us?
No.
I'll get back to you, and they didn't. Yeah. So I think that it is, to your point about credibility, I think it's resilience. I think it's hearing. I mean, it's like any other sales position. If you make a conscious decision to become an entrepreneur, you become a salesperson, whether you've been a salesperson before or not. And ultimately, what that to me means, and what I've had success with from a sales perspective, is I'm all about value. I'm all about trying to put out the first year of our business. Like I said, we only did probably $100,000, but everything that I did was, whether it was speaking events or giving people advice or meeting with, there was one large client that we have today. I met with that client probably once or twice a week for coffee for at least the first year. I mean, I'm talking 52 to 100 cups of coffee.
That's a lot of coffee.
A lot of coffee. And they never turned into a client a year and a half after we started the business. It was just about building that and I would give them advice. I would listen to their personal problems. I was just trying to be valuable. And truly, I think you have to, even though everybody gets it, yeah, I have a new business. I'd love for you to be a client. But for as much as you can, if you could try to put that aside and just try to be a good human being that's offering value to somebody else, without expecting things in return, that will come back to you. It may not be one-to-one. That person may never become a client.
They might refer someone. They might know someone.
You got it, man. And that, to me, that's the only advice I can give, because that's all I really know, is just be a valuable person. You may not have a lot of credibility, your personal brand may not be built, whatever. But if you could just take the skill sets that you have and offer them to the world, expect nothing in return, and repeat and repeat and repeat, that I just feel that will come back to you.
100%. I totally agree. Because sometimes people, they have the excuse of, I don't have your personal brand. I don't have that kind of reach, or I don't have that kind of credibility. Well, I didn't. Jeff didn't. Well, we all started somewhere, right? We all started in the beginning. I remember my very first client, first couple consulting clients. I just tell them, you're my first client.
Right.
I said, I'm new to this. Like, I'm very young. I don't have a lot of experience, but rest assured, I'll work harder than anybody else. And I tell them that. And for interesting, for an entrepreneur, I think they see a young guy like kind of ambitious. Okay, you know what? I'll give you a shot.
Great.
And there you go, right? That's how it works. And then you get the first one, the second one, you produce results, and you grow from there. Again, this is not sexy.
That's right. There's no magic trick to anything.
Give me the magic email that you can send out, the magic LinkedIn email you can send out and get a client like that. No, it doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. And you know why it doesn't exist? Because everyone's trying to do that. How many LinkedIn messages do you get? I can't even imagine what your inbox is.
Oh my God.
Freaking insane, man. So to me, it's like everyone's trying to have that magic bullet. I think I'm personally doubling down on authenticity.
Yeah.
Being a genuine person that offers value to others. And just at the end of the day, I think it'll work out. I really do. As long as I have my few North Stars to keep as a compass and I make decisions based on those high level values that I've kind of set for myself, it'll work out, man. Just take some hard work, that's all.
And exactly. And like you said, now you don't have that business development problem because you've been adding value, building relationships. And now you have the capacity issues you need to solve. But yet the business development, it's like, yeah, we've got clients, and I love the approach because you're not saying, hey, let's just take on as many clients as possible. No. Let's slow down. Let's make sure we can actually fulfill, right, and deliver that great experience and results. And then be selective of, let's bring them on like this. Oh yeah, we'll take the revenue, we'll take the retainer. That's not how it works. Because again, it's a big world, but when it comes to social, it's also a small world. It's so right? Small. Right. The companies, it's like, so they know each other. I'm sure like your friends, your circle, my circle, it's a small circle, right? Once you're the go-to person, then everybody comes to you.
That's right. I'm a big believer in momentum. You know what I mean? Momentum is everything. Once you get, those first few clients, and that's hard, building up that, pushing that boulder up the hill, right? But once you get to that point where we start moving downhill, the thing that can stop momentum the quickest is by taking out revenue. I'll take whatever. And all of a sudden it's like, well, now you have a bad reputation. You're back pushing that boulder up the hill. But if you start to take smart clients, the ones you can crush it, that you can do all the right things for, you can provide an ROI, all of a sudden that momentum builds on itself and now you're going high speed.
Yes, one of the questions I teach all my entrepreneurs students is ask this question: What would you do if you only get paid based on results? What would you do if you only get paid based on results? How would you structure your business differently?
I love that.
Awesome, Jeff. If my audience, if my fans, they want to get in touch with you, they want to get in touch with Digital Hive, or just to connect with you, what's the best way to do that? Absolutely,
LinkedIn is really great. I tend to use that quite a bit.
Nice.
Look me up on LinkedIn. My email is jeff@digitalhive.com. Again, HYVE.com. So Digital Hive. But go to our website, digitalhive.com. But we're always, again, our number one, thing that we need is really great, talented folks. So if there's people out there listening, and think that this might be a good fit for them, let us know.
Fantastic. And I know you're coming to Vancouver in a couple months. Make sure, hit me up. Let's connect. Let's meet in person. Right? I'm not going to bring you to coffee. I'm going to bring you to something else. You drink way too.
I don't even drink coffee, so that was a lot of coffee for me.
Let's not drink coffee. Let's do something else.
I like it. That sounds great. And thank you, Dan. I just want to take a second to thank you for inviting me. You have built an awesome platform. I had heard of you way before you reached out and engaged. And so to be on your podcast and to engage with you like this has really been a lot of fun and an honor. So thank you for that and giving me the time to chat with you. It's been really fun.
Hey, honor is mine. Love it. Love to connect. Appreciate it. Appreciate my show. Make sure go check out Jeff's website, Digital Hive. You'll love it. Also, make sure if this is the first time you're listening to our podcast, make sure you also subscribe as well.